Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all doing fine. And today, as usual, we're gonna continue with Seneca's letters from a Stoic, the book I'm reading. All right, let's move on with the letter 13 on groundless fears. I know that you have plenty of spirit, for even before you began to equip yourself with maxims which were wholesome and potent to overcome obstacles, you were taking pride in your contest with fortune. And this is all the more true now that you have grappled with fortune and tested your powers. For our powers can never inspire in us implicit faith in ourselves except when many difficulties have confronted us on this side and on that, and have occasionally have even come to close quarters with us. It is only in this way that the true spirit can be tested, the spirit that will never consent to come under the jurisdiction of things external to ourselves. This is the touchstone of such a spirit. No prize fighter can go with high spirits into this strife if he has never been beaten by black and blue. The only contestant who can confidently enter the list is the man who has seen his own blood, who has felt his teeth rattle beneath his opponent's fist, who has been trapped and felt the full force of his adversary's charge, who has been downed in body but not in spirit, one who, as often as he falls, rises again with greater defiance than ever. So then, to keep up my figure, fortune has often in the past get the upper hand for you, and yet you have not surrendered, but have leaped up and stood your ground still more eagerly. For manliness gains much strength by being challenged. Nevertheless, if you approve, allow me to offer some additional safeguards by which you may fortify yourself. There are more things, Lucius, likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. I'm not speaking with you in the Stoic strain, but in my milder style. For it is our Stoic fashion to speak of all those things which provoke cries and groans as unimportant and beneath notice. But you and I must drop such great sounding words, although heaven knows they are true enough. What I advise you to do is not to be unhappy before the crisis comes, since it may be that the dangers before which you plead paled, as if they were threatening you, will never come upon you. They certainly have not yet come. Accordingly, some things torment us more than they ought. Some torment us before they ought, and some torment us when they ought not to torment us at all. We are in the habit of exaggerating, or imagining, or anticipating sorrow. For the first of these three faults may be postponed for the present because the subject is under discussion and the case is still in court, so to speak. That which I should call trifling, you will maintain to be most serious, for of course I know that some men love when being flogged, and the dead others wins at a box of the air. We shall consider later whether these evils derive their power from their own strength or from our own weakness. Do me the favor, when men surround you and try to talk to you into believing that you are unhappy, to consider not what you hear but what you yourself feel, and to take counsel with your feelings and question yourself independently, because you know your own affairs better than anyone else does. Ask, is there any reason why these persons should condole with me? Why should they be worried or even fear some infection from me, as if troubles could be transmitted? Is there any evil involved, or is it a matter merely of ill report rather than an evil? Put the question voluntarily to yourself. Am I tormented without sufficient reason? Am I morose? And do I convert what is not an evil into what is an evil? An evil. You may retort with the question, how am I to know whether my sufferings are real or imaginary? Here is the rule for such matters. We are tormented either by things present or by things to come, or by both. As to things present, that decision is easy. Suppose that your person enjoys freedom and health, and that you do not suffer from any external injury. As to what may happen in the future, we shall see later on. Today there is nothing wrong with it. But, you say, something will happen to it. First of all, consider whether your proofs of future trouble are sure, for it is more often the case that we are troubled by our apprehensions, and that we are mocked by that mocker rumor, which is wont to settle wars, but much more often settles individuals. Yes, my dear Lucius, we agree too quickly with what people say. We do not put to the test those things which cause our fear. We do not examine into them. We blanch and retreat, just like soldiers who are forced to abandon their camp because of a dust cloud raised by stampeding cattle, or are thrown into a panic by the spreading of some unauthenticated rumor. And somehow or other, it is the idle report that disturbs us most. For truth has its own definite boundaries. But that which arises from uncertainty is delivered over to guesswork and the irresponsible license of a frightened mind. That is why no fear is so ruinous, and so uncontrollable as panic fear. For other fears are groundless, but this fear is witless. Let us then look carefully into the matter. It is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact. Now, how often has the unexpected happened? How often has the expected never come to pass? And ever though, even though it is ordained to be. What does it avail to run out to meet your suffering? You will suffer soon enough when it arrives. So look forward, meanwhile, to better things. What shall you gain by doing this? Time. There will be many happenings meanwhile will which will serve to postpone or end or pass to another person the trials which are near or even in your very presence. A fire has a fire has opened the way to flight. Men have been let down softly by catastrophe. Sometimes the sword has been checked even at the victim's throat. Men have survived or their own executioners. Even bad fortune is fickle. Perhaps it will come, perhaps not. In the meantime, it is not. So look forward to better things. The mind at times fashions for itself false shapes of evil when there are no signs that point to any evil. It twists into the worst construction some word or doubtful meaning, or it fancies some personal grudge to be more serious than it really is, considering not how angry the enemy is, but to what length he may go if he is angry. But life is not worth living, and there is no limit to our sorrows if we indulge our fears to the greatest possible extent. In this matter, let prudence help you, and contend with a resolute spirit even when it is in plain sight. If you cannot do this, counter one weakness with another, and temper your fear with hope. There is nothing so certain among these objects of fear that it is not more certain still that things are dread sink into nothing, and that things we hope for more cup. Sorry. Accordingly, wait carefully your hopes as well as your fears, and whenever all the elements are in doubt, decide in your own favor. Believe what you prefer, and if fears wins a majority of the votes, incline in the other direction anyhow, and cease to harass your soul, reflecting continually that most mortals, even when no troubles are actually at hand or are certainly to be expected in the future, become excited and disquieted. No one calls a halt of himself when he begins to be urged ahead, nor does he regulate his alarm according to the truth. No one says, the author of the story is a fool, and he who has believed it is a fool, as well as he who fabricated it. We let ourselves drift with every breeze, and we frighten and add uncertainties, just as if they were certain. We observe no moderation. The slightest thing turns the scales and throws us forthwith into a panic. But I am not ashamed either to admonish you sternly or to try to beguile, beguile you with such mild remedies. Let another say, perhaps the worst will not happen. You yourself must say, you yourself must say, well, what if it does happen? Let us say who wins. Perhaps it happens for my best interest. It may be that such a death, with shred credit upon my life, Socrates was ennobled by the hemlock dropped, right from Cato's hand his sword, the vindicator of liberty, and you deprive him of the greatest share of his glory. I'm not exhorting you far too long, since you need reminding rather than exhortation. The path on the path on which I'm leading you is not different from that on which your nature leads you. You were born to such conduct as I described. Hence, there is all the more reason why I should increase and beautify the good that is in you. But now, to close my letter, I have only to stamp the usual seal upon it. In other words, to commit thereto some noble message to be delivered to you. That fool, with all his other faults, has this also. He is always getting ready to leave. Leave. Reflect, my esteemed Lucius, what this saying means, and you will see how rewarding is the fickleness of men who lay down every day new foundations of life and began to build up fresh hopes, even at the brink of the grave. Look within your own mind for individual instances. You will think of old men. You will think of old men who are preparing themselves at that very hour for a political career, or for travel, or for business. And what is baser than getting ready to leave when you are already old? And again, look within your own mind for individual instances. You will think of old men who are preparing themselves at that very hour for a political career, or for travel, or for business. And what is baser than getting ready to leave when you are already old? I should not name the author of this motto, except that it is somewhat unknown to fame, and is not one of those popular sayings of Epicurus which I have allowed myself to praise and to appropriate. Farewell. Alright, guys, that was nice reading and a good letter. See you tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Bye.